Part 3. Sakuyanagi finished telling me about the exchange with Ikanos. I had just finished eating and drinking a 200 milliliters pack of tea. You are a sinful person to win the heart of Ikanos-san, who is one of the most popular students in the school year. It may seem like a flirtatious remark, but I can't take it in the right direction for a millimeter. That's harsh, Sakuyanagi. Fufafu 13, it's my nature. Sakuyanagi is making preparations to protect Ikanos and make herself available to her. If I do something to hurt Ikanos here, you will be more trusted by her. Because if you can gain her trust, it will be easier for you to get around in the future. While Sakuyanagi is an ally, she is also an enemy. They're two sides of the same coin, and she's making good use of that. But why are you telling me this? What you just told me was about Ikanos-san, but that's not what's important right now. It's about the fact that more and more people are gradually learning about Ayane Kuji-kun in this school life. And they are very interested. Certainly, if her relationship with Ikanos had remained tenuous during the uninhabited island test, she wouldn't have rushed to me, to the annoyance of her friends. As a corollary to that, the third-year students were giving you strange looks, weren't they? I see. I guess she was after me for a chat, but that's the main point, isn't it? In that short time, Sakuyanagi realized that he was being watched by third-year students. That's impressive. I guess what she said earlier was just a preparatory step to mentioning this. Are you having trouble with the third years? Well, if you call it trouble, it's trouble. I think I've made an enemy of a troublesome opponent. Troublesome opponent? Is the student body president, isn't it? Nagamo was the only one who came to mind as a possible strong opponent among the upperclassmen. 13. I have used this before too. It's a way she laughs, very small laugh by just exhaling your breath, I think. I had a row with the student council president on the last day of the uninhabited island. It seems that he missed out on first place because of it, and they're looking at me like I'm the enemy. So he lost his footing by trying to stage a dramatic victory. You were aware of that as well? I think the majority of people in the uninhabited island test would agree that Kenji-kun single-handedly became a warrior. However, we knew early on that the student council president was deliberately holding back on scoring points. If we made too big a difference, it would have blatantly highlighted the picture that the entire third grade was trying to make a particular group win. I was also able to see the strategy by looking at the flow of cards in their possession. I thought I had fully acknowledged Sakuyanagi's abilities, but she still went even further in her assessment. It was proof that she had a perfect grasp of the entirety of the special uninhabited island test, and its flow. Is there anything I can help you with? No, don't worry, Nagamo isn't one to make a showy move lightly. Besides, Sakuyanagi took care of me a lot during the uninhabited island test. I can't rely on her anymore. You don't have to worry about that. I'm glad that you relied on me, and I also took full advantage of Ayane Kuji-kun's suggestion. Use? What do you mean? Chuckling, Sakuyanagi narrowed her eyes and stared at the ocean. The other day in the uninhabited island exam, as the endgame approached, we judged that it would be difficult to take first and second place, since the scoring pace of Kenji-kun and the student council president's group was faster than the maximum score our group could have obtained. Well, those two groups were fighting in a different dimension. We were aiming for third place, but one of our rivals at the end of the game was Ryuin-kun's group. Because he and Katsuragi-kun were in a small group, but they were showing tremendous persistence. So I asked for his help and decided to pit him against Halsen-kun. I see, that's how it works. No matter what form it takes, if Ryuin-kun deviates from the main test, his scoring moves will be slowed down. As a result, he ended up retiring, which was the best way for us. She had succeeded in crushing her rival Ryuin's existence while helping me. But even after hearing all this, there are still some things I don't understand. Ryuan had been working hard for 2 weeks to get on the podium, but he had easily cooperated with Sakinagi. It was not hard to imagine that he would not be safe if he ran into Housen. The only thing that was clear was that some kind of promise had been made. If they were willing to give up the possibility of third place, it would be more than a small deal. Didn't they make you pay a substantial price, for example, a high amount of private points? If Sakinagi had successfully used the flight cards possessed by his classmates, he would have had some income. No wonder he offered it to Ryuan, who was trying to collect a huge amount of private points. I haven't paid him a single point, and I don't plan to in the future. So you're saying it's not money? In this school, the exchange of private points is basically a standard part of the transaction. I know it sounds like a riddle, but I can't even tell Iena Kuji-kun right now. This is a promise made between him and me. Until he tells me to fulfill the promise in the near future. That wish will strangle him in the near future, Sakinagi had said. With that in mind, no wonder private points were not a monetary reward. Anyway, please be careful Iena Kuji-kun, even if one problem is solved, the White Room students still exist, and the problem of the third years has also come up. It's a long list of niggles, but I'll try to keep an eye out. I hear a ringtone coming from Sakinagi. Sakinagi lightly turns me down and receives a call from someone. Well, I see. I'll be right there. After finishing the call on her cell phone without talking for more than 5 seconds, Sakinagi leaves the railing. I have an appointment with someone after this, so I'll be going now. I see. See you later. It was a pleasure talking to you. See you later. After watching Sakinagi slowly walk away, I decided to look at the ocean some more. Part 4. On the same day, Amisawa was wandering around the ship by herself. Sometimes her classmates would talk to her, but she would just smile amiably and be done with it. Not once did she feel like playing in a crowd with anyone. I wish I could see Iena Kuji-senpai. Amisawa muttered out on the deck, her voice lightly drowned out by the sound of the wind. For Amisawa, who has no interest in the other students, the only time she feels blissful is when she is meeting Iena Kuji, the only person who moves her. However, due to the position she was in, she deliberately refrained from contacting Iena Kuji at the moment. Matilda, Ikuka-chan is super bored to death. 14 Good day, Amisawa Ikuka-san. Sakinagi Rasu, Class A, Year 2, approached Amisawa, who was alone on the deck looking out at the ocean. Without any special surprise, Amisawa only looked at her. Who are you? 14 tilde dot. Very weird sentence. First part seems like a very bored Ikuka-chan, part made me confused. Probably bored to death? Amisawa tilted her head curiously, as if she was seeing her for the first time. I'm Sakinagi Rasu, Class A, 2nd year. Please make my acquaintance. Sakinagi. Senpai? What do you want from me? Fufu, no need for monkey business. You're a White Room student, aren't you, Amisawa-san, and I'm sure you know who I am. White Room student, if I hear that word, I have no choice but to understand. I see. So it was the Chancellor's daughter that Iena Kuji-senpai turned to. She seems to know a bit about the White Room, so I guess you could say it was inevitable. So? Not surprised, Amisawa asks Sakinagi what she wants. It's natural to want to see how good a White Room student he was concerned about is. It's good that you're so motivated, but does that mean you have permission from Iena Kuji-senpai? Permission? I don't need anything like that. It's my own personal decision to be here. You're a very confident person, Risa-senpai. I'm proud to say that I'm that good. Cool. Amisawa clapped her hands in praise, but seemed somewhat preoccupied. But I'm sorry. I'm feeling a little sentimental right now. Can we do this another time? That's fine. I was just going to meet you today. Satisfied with the greeting, Sakinagi bowed lightly and turned to leave. Oh, And Risa-senpai, you're not going to make them keep an eye on me here, are you? Sakuyanagi had been using some of the A-class students to keep track of her position until she found Amisawa and left her alone. I had instructed them not to be found by you, but did you notice? Ahahaha, they think they were hiding behind that thing? That's so cute. I apologize for any discomfort I may have caused you. But as you can see, I'm crippled, so it's not easy for me to locate and go see people otherwise. Please bear with me. Oh, I have one question, Tilda. I'm a girl who can hit a disabled person without hesitation, is that okay? Violence is one of the strongest cards, but it's not necessarily the strongest. With that, Sakuyanagi thumped her cane lightly against the deck 2 or 3 times. Perhaps that was the signal for her classmate, Kamuro, to appear in the distance. You must be the senior who was following me around. Is it possible that that senior can compete with me? No, it's not. It's just that barbaric acts can be easily detected. You mean you want to have a brainstorming session with me? You're making me laugh. That's very short-sighted of you. Please don't draw your own conclusions. After all, even the White Room students, except for Ayane Kuji-kun, are probably failures. I'm not expecting too much from you. At this point, Amisawa's gaze sharpened for the first time, and she looked at Sakuyanagi. I mean, I'll give you a win or a loss no matter what the stage is. Really? Even if it's the violence you just mentioned? Intrigued by Sakuyanagi for the first time, Amisawa licked his thumb. Yes, of course. You can use any hand you want. I'll remember that for you, senpai. It will be a pleasure if it is engraved in your hippocampus. Have a good day. Sakuyanagi slowly walked away, leaving Amisawa to catch her breath on the now empty deck. Maybe I can have a bit of fun without Ayane Kuji-senpai. I guess I'd be in an exciting mood if I was playing with Kushida-senpai, or enjoying watching Risa-senpai cry. If it was any other time, I'd be in an exciting mood. I put my hand lightly on my aching abdomen and think about what I'm going to do. I guess I'll just stay calm for now. It'll take a little while until I'm fully recovered. Besides, Amisawa can't make a move until she sees what that side does. Sakuyanagi, on the other hand, left the Kamuro and returned to the corridor. That first year looks bad, doesn't she? Oh, can you tell? Somehow, I do. I guess I've known you long enough that I've developed some weird senses. Honestly, I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. You should cherish that feeling. Nevertheless, I think she should be monitored to some extent. She was advised not to monitor her, but Sakuyanagi had no intention of listening to her. Amisawa would not be able to ignore her if she knew that she was still relentlessly marking her. And if she did, she might well try to provoke her. She did notice that I was following her, right? Do you want to use Hashimoto? He might be able to get us through it well even if he's been spotted. Badly contacting the White Room student could be detrimental later on. Thank you for your efforts for the moment, Masumi-san. With her task done, Kamuro quickly left the place. Sakuyanagi then took out her cell phone and made a single call. Can you please continue? She asked the caller to keep an eye on Amisawa on her phone and added one last thing. After all, it seems that you are the only one I can rely on in class, Yamamura-san 15. The girl on left, looking at her phone on the color illustration of 3 students. Growth in each of us. Intro. The summer vacation on a luxury cruise ship, which has been a valuable experience for me, has already passed its turn. The wallets of the students who are enjoying the remaining period to the fullest must be loosening up like never before. It may seem a bit silly to students who are systematically aiming for the top, but there is nothing wrong with spending money on a short break. At the same time, it gives you a sense of euphoria and happiness. This may sound like an excuse, but I'm also using my private points, which I don't have. I changed into my swimsuit and opened the door to see a large empty pool. This luxury cruise ship has a large pool facility that is free for everyone to use, but it also has another pool. The fee is not cheap at 20,000 points for 60 minutes, but the time you can spend with your closest friends is more than worth the money. The pool can be used by up to 40 people at a time. If you rent it out to one class, you can use it for 500 points per head. For this reason, this private pool is unexpectedly popular with students, and is almost always booked up from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. when it is open. It's hard to swim freely in a large pool packed with people, but in a private pool, there's plenty of room to do whatever you want and enjoy it without getting in trouble. Whoa, it's huge. Akito says excitedly as he shows up at the poolside a little later. It's the same size as the pool that's open to the public for free, but it looks so big that I can't believe how much the scale changes when it's private. Where's Casey? He is going to go after he finishes using the bathroom. The girls aren't ready for the quicksand yet, are they? I don't need to confirm now that they won't finish changing in a short time like the boys. Akito somehow picked up the menu list that was placed by the beach chairs. Wow! That's more expensive than the other side. In the private pool, drinks were more expensive than in the free pool, almost double the price. It may have been natural considering the number of orders they had to make in relation to the number of people to prepare them, but it was harsh. This is another example of unrelenting exploitation. The fact that food and drinks are not allowed is also well thought out. Just then, the door to the locker room opened slightly. We turned around at the same time, but there was no sign of anyone coming out of the door. Instead, we hear a voice speaking in our ears. Hey Eri, what are you doing? Hurry up and go. But. That's embarrassing, Haruka-chan. What's embarrassing? You've been posting all kinds of embarrassing pictures on the internet, so you should be fine, right? Well, it's not like I was being watched directly. For me, that's more embarrassing. There. Wow. Wait. Such an indescribable conversation was exchanged between Haruka and Eri. What can I say? There's a goodness you can't see, isn't there? Akito says that unexpectedly. What? I was just wondering if Akito thinks about that kind of thing too. You know. That's normal for boys, right? I mean, I don't talk about it lightly on a daily basis like Ike and the others. You wouldn't either, right? He looked at me with a somewhat dumbfounded look, but at the same time, there was an air that didn't allow for denial. I didn't read the air, but I could tell that Akito was trying to be brave. Since it was not advisable to ignore it, I admitted it honestly. Well, I guess so. Akito laughs a little, as if relieved when I answer that. If a girl hears, she'll probably say I'm stupid or something, though. Normally, Akito has a rather calm poker face, but judging from the amount of words he's saying, it's obvious to the casual observer that he's getting nervous. However, the two still seem to be arguing, and it's hard for them to come out. I'm so embarrassed. You know what? I'm feeling the same way over here. Haha. Haruka-chan, that's a very bold outfit. It's because you promised to wear this in front of everyone. Hi-ah. We were in a kind of life and death state as we waited for her to appear. Bold, they say. Looks like a sense of anticipation, accompanied by a feeling of embarrassment. Where should we look and what words should we say to the girl when she comes out? Impossible. I'll at least borrow something to put on. No, you can't. Come on, don't run away. Ugh, I'm still embarrassed in this kind of swimsuit, Haruka-chan. That's what I'm like, too, you know. I have no choice but to go along with you. It's not something I asked you to do. We're still waiting for her to show up, but it looks like the wrangling will continue. Hey Ayane-kuji, what do you think of Eri? Akito had been looking at the girls earlier, but now he found himself looking at me. I'm sure he didn't just say something random. What do you mean? I immediately understood the flow of the conversation, but I dared to remain ignorant. Mixed gender groups can be a little complicated, right? It's not strange for someone to fall in love with someone else. It wasn't hard to answer that question, but what about you? When I asked that back, Akito showed a somewhat troubled expression. Well, I guess so. After a bit of silence, Akito speaks. I guess I'd be lying if I said it doesn't exist at all. He replied in a way that didn't deny or acknowledge the existence of such a being. But if it might destroy this group, I'm not going to force it. To leave it there, smoldering in my heart. Whether that existence is Haruka or Eri, I can't judge right now, but I'm going to. I wonder what the right answer would be here. It's not like math, where you can be sure of the answer if you try to figure it out. Kiyotaka, you're Kaya. Just as Akito was about to say something, the half-opened door opened with great force. Then, Eri jumped forward. She makes eye contact with Akito again as a loud voice comes flying out. Oh, you're terrible for pushing me, Haruka-chan. It's because you didn't answer quickly enough. Saying that, Haruka also showed up soon after Eri's appearance. Oh, come on. Akito looked shocked, but needless to say, I felt the same way. What can I say? Both of them are wearing incredibly daring swimsuits. If this wasn't a private pool, they would have attracted a lot of attention from both men and women. Haruka immediately raised her eyes and looked at us. I felt like it was a crime to stare at her, so I turned in the right direction at the same time as Akito. However, something immediately caught my attention, and Akito said, keeping his gaze elsewhere. Eri gives a very different impression, doesn't she? I wish he didn't have to bring it up to me here, but I guess Akito's in a tough spot too. I guess. It looks so much more innocent. That's it, that's it. Haruka blatantly looked disappointed as she expressed her thoughts on our Eri. It's bland and mundane. Don't say that. No, I'm too surprised to say anything. I'd really like Haruka to catch the part where the vocabulary is rapidly declining. I'm going to go for a little swim. Perhaps the two of them were too stimulating, Akito said, turning his back on them and jumping into the pool without any preparation. Splashing in the water, he swam through the empty pool alone. I know what it feels like to want to run away. It's because it's a private pool, an environment you don't usually get to experience, and when you see the destructive power of the two people in front of you, you can't escape. To get rid of all the worries, it was the right thing to do. However, if the two men suddenly put all their energy into swimming, the atmosphere would obviously turn strange. I guess I'll just have to shield myself and keep facing them. What should I do? I took a quick look at the two of them, and saw that Eri was looking uncomfortable and blushing. Seeing this, Haruka happily walked around to her back and grabbed both her shoulders. Hiya. There, keep on, how's the reborn Eri? With that, she pushed Eri forward. The distance between us was so close that we could almost touch each other. It wasn't like that, it was like she was actually touching me. I retreated to the point where I couldn't tell, and maintained a close distance. Wow. Both of them were wearing swimsuits that exposed a lot of skin, so touching them easily was a problematic action. Unable to bear the situation, Eri opened her mouth to escape. Wow, maybe I should go inside the pool too. Hey, Eri. Haruka reached out to catch her, but failed to grab her arm in time. Then she jumped into the pool. I thought it was, but it was just like Eri to hold the stainless steel railing and enter the water slowly. Damn. I'm super embarrassed too. That's true, I suppose. Aside from the emphasis on her breasts, the area of her swimsuit on her lower half was clearly smaller than the rest. Even if it is tied tightly with a string, I'm anxious if something should happen. Just so you know, Eri is the one who chose this ridiculous swimsuit, right? I couldn't get into it, but what's the story behind it? Originally, Haruka was not the kind of student who liked to show skin in public. However, this emphasis on her breasts and lower body was not normal. How did it happen? How did it happen? She looked difficult for a moment, but began to explain, choosing her words carefully. Is this, how do you say, like a form of going along with Eri? What do you mean? She's so choosy, I can't even begin to understand. It means that she's desperately trying to change. And me too. If I may say so myself. There are some things that stand out a little more than others, right? She said it in a muddled way, but I'm pretty sure she was referring to the thing that was bothering me. I know I shouldn't worry about it, but the way you look at me makes me uncomfortable. The problem is understandable, but it's extremely difficult to ignore, even from a male perspective. It's inevitable that your eyes will be drawn to them. I chose a daring bathing suit to encourage her, and she replied that it was okay if I wore it too. That was a good response, and I could easily imagine Haruka refusing to wear a flashy swimsuit. She could imagine Haruka refusing to wear a fancy bathing suit, because she could say back that if Haruka won't wear it, then she won't either. I can't let this one stumble on the first move of the Eri modification project, either. It's called willpower. So now that she's accepted the conditions she had set, there's no escape for Eri either. Besides, neither me nor Eri can wear something like this in the open pool over there, but if it's here. It seems that because the three boys are close friends, they managed to make it happen. Even so, it was easy for a guy to imagine that there was a lot of shame involved. Do you want to see? Haruka asked, looking embarrassed, or rather, hiding her disgust. Well, to be honest, there's something difficult about being told not to look. It couldn't be helped that they were in my field of vision when we were talking in the first place. The only way to avoid seeing them is to turn your back to them, either directly above or below them. I see. I think I know the difference between a woman and a man, but I don't know anything about psychology. The difference in curiosity about breasts, waist, and lower abdomen is not something that men and women can understand. No, there's no way to know because each human being has their own strengths and weaknesses, not just men and women. Huh? Where's Yukimu, by the way? Looks like it'll take a little longer. I wonder if the stomach ache is lingering longer, but he doesn't seem to be coming out at all. Haruka responded, looking in the faraway direction, as if she had confirmed it without much interest. The conversation stopped once, and silence flowed for a short while. Oh no, I'm still thinking about things. Sorry. I'm trying not to look at it, but I can't help but look at the other person's face as we talk, and I can't help but see them. That's not it. There's nothing wrong with you, Kippon. In the first place, I know I'm too self-conscious too. I know that you don't like what you see. Well, no. I'm not watching because I want to. I'll keep that part to myself. If something stands out, it attracts attention. It's the same with everything. I just can't feel good when I think it's me. In Haruka's case, it's not just the gaze of boys. Even if it's a same-sex gathering, she doesn't welcome the attention being drawn to her breasts. Sorry, I think it's going to take me a little longer to calm down. That's okay. If you don't think you can do it, you can go change and come back. That's no good, because as long as Eri's trying, I don't want to have to break her. Did she say Eri modification plan? I could tell she had a lot on her mind. Let me change the subject. Maybe it's too late, but it looks like Kippon was just about ready for the uninhabited island test. The Ayanakuji group hadn't been able to get together in the past few days, so Haruka had mentioned the topic, albeit late. It was a completely unrelated topic, which was probably a good thing right now. Well, it's not funny because we were the same way. Because it was pretty tough, to be honest. We fought as hard as we could and that's what we got. I'm sorry about that. Not bad at all. I'm just relieved, I guess. Letting out a short breath, Haruka looked at Eri, who was clumsily trying to swim. Relieved? After the results were such a mess. Look, there were rumors that Kippun was a terrible person because of the math problem. I think this will calm that down a bit. You don't want to be under any kind of pressure, do you? Apparently, she was thinking about my future. After all, Kippun is more of a saint than the other guys. What did you see that made you think that? I wondered, because I thought she was buying too much. I have the same sex drive and interest in the opposite sex as anyone else. Facial expressions, gazes, and so on. I feel like you're less interested in those things than other boys. I don't know what to say about that, but I don't want to show it here. I'm also grateful that another guy is playing the role of panicking. I think it's a synergy effect. Uh-oh. As soon as Casey, who finished changing late, showed up, he let out a surprised voice. It is clear to the eye that this is not the impression he had of the private pool we had rented. I'm sure he saw Haruka standing next to me in all her daring glory. Also SS. Haruka greeted Casey with a dumbfounded look on her face and voice, as if trying to maintain a sense of normalcy. Oh. He put back his glasses, which had almost fallen off, and looked over. I guess it means that Casey, who usually studies all the time, is a fine boy. The fact that the reaction of the boys and the way they run away are the same again shows the character of this group. If it were Ryuin or Kenji, they would probably react differently. Well, I guess I'll swim a bit too. I jumped into the pool as if to escape towards Sakido, who continued swimming vigorously. Eri, who couldn't swim very well and had her feet on the bottom of the pool, waved at Haruka. Come here too, Haruka-chan tilde. It feels so good tilde. Yes, I'm coming. I'll be right back. I can't help it, she said as she began to do her preparatory exercises next to me. It seems like you've become better friends since we fought the uninhabited island test together. That's true, isn't it? We've shared a lot of things from top to bottom. Wow, that's a little embarrassing, don't say that. Eri, who was waiting at the edge of the pool looking at me, hurriedly made a splash. Up? Down? Common keywords, but meaningful keywords. I don't know, Eri is basically unreliable, but I can't leave her alone. She's like my best friend and my sister. A statement that was unthinkable when they first met. It's not just about Haruka. The same goes for Casey, and even if there are no major changes, the same goes for Akido. Part 1. After that, I took turns playing in the pool with the rest of the group, enjoying it to the fullest. After a game of 2-on-2 beach volleyball, we are now in the middle of a 5-point, 1-on-1 beach volleyball game. The first match was between Casey and Eri, which Casey won 5-2. Then came the battle between me and Akido, which Akido won 5-3. Eri, who had very little energy, was tired after one match, and I called out to her as she sat down by the pool to rest. You looked like you were having a lot of fun. Ah, Kiyotaka-kun. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I wasn't much of a partner at all, but for some reason, she tried to stand up, so I stopped her and sat down next to her. I'm still surprised, to be honest. It's the fact that Terry was brave enough to do it this way. Yeah. I thought I'd take the plunge. I'm still terribly embarrassed, but why did you decide to take the plunge? It couldn't have been a mere whim. When you do a uninhabited island test, you're with your group almost 24 hours a day, right? So Haruka-chan and I talked about a lot of things. We talked about our childhood, middle school, junior high school, and how we got to know each other in this school. If you have time, a little chatting won't be enough. So, it was no wonder that we delved into a deeper conversation. Perhaps the intense time they spent together made them understand each other as if they were old best friends. I think we can change now. I think now is the only time we can change. Can you change? You don't mean just the way you look, do you? Yes. I can't say for sure yet, but I'm starting to think that I need to change. It's not good enough for me to be bad at studies and sports. With a blush on her cheeks and feeling embarrassed, Eri expressed her determination. So that's the start of your grooming. Haruka-chan told me that it's not good to deliberately be inconspicuous. By nature, Eri didn't like to stand out because of her personality. That's why she keeps her hairstyle modest and wears unnecessary glasses in her daily life. As for her posture, she often rounds her back and tries not to look up. As Eri gazed into the pool, she saw that in the new game, the ball had been slammed into the water and Akito had scored from Haruka. It was now 3-1, and Akito had extended his lead. I guess it's late. After telling me everything, Eri looked up at me anxiously. No, it's not too late. I wanted to praise her honestly for making that decision. I'll back you up. Oh, thanks Kiyotaka-kun, I'll do my best. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you something. Don't tell anyone about that makeover of Aries yet. We'll show it off to everyone after the second semester starts. It would be better if it was in a classroom where everyone was present. If she's going to be nervous anyway, it's better to do it less often. So what did you think about it, Yukimu? I mean, look at Eri. Haruka, who was serving, stopped moving and spoke to Casey, who was watching the match. Oh, don't ask me. You wouldn't know if I didn't ask, would you? Let me hear your frank opinion, right? With that being said, Casey looked directly at Eri and observed every inch of her body. Naturally embarrassed, Eri tried to run away. Don't run away, Eri. Haruka did her best to hold her back as she growled and flapped her legs. And after the observation, Casey's assessment was, not bad, is it? I mean, no, it's totally fine. Kazai, who was usually not interested in girls, replied embarrassed. Whoa, if Yukimu has this reaction, it seems perfect. Haruka jumped high at that moment, as happy as if it was her. She then slammed her serve into Akito, who had been caught looking at Eri. Whoa. 1 point. Now it's 2-3. That's not fair, Haruka. It's probably Machi's fault for gawking at the girls. Don't let your guard down, carelessness is the great enemy. Don't be reckless. But, can a girl change like this just by taking off her glasses and changing her hairstyle a little? It means that your original material was shining. Didn't you even know that? I don't care what you say. Akito and Casey looked at each other and nodded at the same time. Oh dear 16. Well, it's because of you are like this that I'm able to treat you without hesitation. Akito shook off his worries and concentrated on his own serve. As the game resumed, Eri blurted out. I wonder how I can get better at studying, or rather, how I can get smarter. Although Eri and the others prepare for tests on a regular basis, they don't have the kind of fundamental study sessions that Horikata and Suda do. That part of the program will be essential for raising the academic level. Casey overhears something related to studying and begins to explain it up front. Don't you think we should start by figuring out what we can and can't do? Starting from the first grade of elementary school, we all start running side by side at first. But gradually, they start to show their strengths and weaknesses in their studies, and you know why that is? Individuals differ in their ability to learn and absorb, and they also differ in their ability to concentrate. Some people can't hold out for a minute, while others can flexibly control their concentration and get through an hour of class. That alone starts to make a difference in learning ability, but how much you study outside of class is also a big factor. That's true, yeah. It's true that the kids who went to the cram school were smart. 16-year. Eri nodded in agreement, though it was obvious. Raw. The ball bounces off Haruka's catch, scoring a fifth goal. The result was 5-2 in favor of Akito. Alright. I guess I've won now. I'm sorry. But I was a little distracted by their conversation and couldn't concentrate, so that's why I lost. With that analysis and excuse, Haruka also came up to the beach side. Why don't you teach her how to study, Kippon? Haruka suggested from the flow of conversation. Sorry, but I'm not very good at teaching studies. Besides, there are specialists around, right? The gaze that had been directed at us turned to Casey as if to prompt him. Well, if Eri says it's fine with me. No, but you see, Yukimu, me and Akito are going to be being taken care of by you from now on. Won't it be hard to teach her if we put in a different level of Eri? Ugh, that just means I'm an idiot, doesn't it? Ugh. No, no. That's not what I meant. No, that's the only meaning I got. She can't defend herself, so Akito mutters with a sigh. I'm just saying, so. Oh my god, I'm sorry, that was a little too wordy. She bowed deeply to Eri, and at the same time, the two lumps were big. And don't look at them. I'm going to lose my concentration. Then they all burst into laughter, and the atmosphere relaxed. Now, let's play a revenge game between Eri and Casey. I can't win no matter how many times I try, Tilda. I'll join you as a helper, so don't worry. Wait a minute, Akito. We're at a huge disadvantage then. While complaining, Casey honestly walked into the pool. He's very serious about it. I'll do my best. Eri, who had gained a reliable companion in Akito, made a small fist pump. Haruka and I watched from the poolside as the two of them engaged in a novel 2-on-1 battle. Hey, can I ask you something? Haruka asked shortly after the match started, keeping her gaze fixed on the match. I hope it's not my imagination, but isn't Kippon a little cold towards Eri? I don't mean to be. But, you could have taught her one-on-one. You can do that, right? If I had to choose between being able to and not being able to, I could do it no problem. I feel like it's unfair, to Eri. I'm being fair to everyone. Really? I've never really favored anyone except for pretense. Does that mean you're just as fair to your best friend or girlfriend? Yes, it does. I don't know, isn't that a little weird? It's like you're too distant. I'm going to take this opportunity to say that Kippon has been watching us from a distance for a while now. Apparently, Haruka could tell that about me. I've never seen you smile or anything. She reached out her right arm and pinched my left cheek. She plays with it, tugging and pulling with some strength. I hope we can at least make Kippon laugh, right? It's not like I'm not laughing on purpose, though. She let go of her fingertips from the cheek she was pinching and crossed her arms in frustration. There's still another reason why I don't tell you directly. The distance between Eri and me has been too close from the start. What's that? I don't think it's me that's making her grow, I think it's the environment around her. Surrounding environment? There's Haruka, there's Akito, and there's Casey. Growing up surrounded by her best friends is the most important factor for Eri. In fact, right now, Eri is about to change a lot thanks to Haruka. I think the most important person for Eri is Kippon, though. If you're the type who grows by involving romance, that might have been a good idea. I've heard before that Kippon is aware of Eri's feelings for him, but I don't know how to put it. That's kind of a terrible way to put it. Complicated eyes look at me, as if she doesn't know how to express herself. Since our first year, Eri has been thinking about me in no small way. I'm happy about that. It's just. She looked at me with anxious eyes, as if she were a girl waiting for a reply to her confession. Eri's love. It's an undeniable fact that she's her best friend who can pray for her to succeed. What Eri needs right now are friends she can trust. But you know what? But it would be nice to have a romantic element in there. It might make her work harder. Sure, there could be synergy. But the trouble is, romance is basically not something that can be done more than one in parallel. Basically, you can only have one person at the table, and if you want to bring in a second person, you'll have to take action to cut off the first. Of course, it's not impossible to have 2 or 3 people at the same time, but in this closed school environment, it's not suitable, and the disadvantages of being exposed are far greater. I stood up from the poolside. From now on, Eri will go through a bit of a psychological shock. At that time, Haruka, I need you more than anyone to be there to cheer her up. What's that? What does that mean? Sorry, I can't answer that right now. Eri is the least valuable person in the class. Academic ability plus physical ability plus other factors. Overall, it leads to that decision. It's not only the OIE, but also my own personal opinion. However, depending on the changes that Eri is trying to make from here on out, she will grow, albeit slowly. Maybe in 6 months, maybe in a year, she'll be able to escape from the bottom of the class. Part 2. My time in the private pool was quickly coming to an end, and I began to change my clothes. There was no way to extend the time, as the employees had to clean the pool before the next reservation was made. The 3 of us quickly showered and changed our clothes and left the private pool. Unlike the boys, we didn't see any of the girls, probably because it takes time to change. Looks like the girls aren't here yet. We hadn't discussed what to do after this, so we waited for them to come out. Ayane-kuji-senpai. I suddenly felt a pair of eyes looking at me, and it was Nanace. Today was another record-breaking day, and I was seeing Nanace every day on the ship. I asked Nanace to help me find a partner for my special written exam. Also, Nanace helped me out a few times on the uninhabited island. Huh? So you're a pretty awesome girl. As if impressed, Akito nodded and lightly raised his hand to greet Nanace. Casey followed suit. Could it be that Nanace was the next one to book the private pool? That's what I thought. I just happened to be passing by here. As if to deny it, Nanace interjected that it was just a coincidence. I see. I'm sorry to bother you, but I'll leave you to it. The only place in the vicinity where special students could play was the private pool. In fact, Nanace walked away, but I couldn't see the purpose of why she showed up here. No, 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 no. It's too optimistic to chalk this up to mere coincidence. Nanace seems to have some grasp of my actions and is checking on me every step of the way. But there is no malice in it. If that's the case, then what's the purpose? Nakaizumi and Suzuki walked past in front of the 3 of us. Seeing them, the other 2 didn't seem to notice anything unusual. What's up, Ayane-kuji? Is something wrong with those 2? No. I was just wondering where they were going. Oh, sure. There's nothing special about this destination, is there? I think they're lost. There are no special facilities beyond this point. It's not impossible that they got lost, though. In the first place, we don't visit this level for any purpose other than the private pool. Like Nanace, I'm walking around in places I wouldn't normally think of. Come to think of it, I saw Nanace, Nakazumi and the others on the deck near the bow of the ship yesterday. But it's tough on Eri, too. There seems to be a lot of strong enemies in many ways. What's that? Akito muttered behind me, and Casey butted in. No, it's nothing. Nanace walks away, and not long after, the 2 girls come out after getting dressed. That was fun, Haruka-chan. Well, yeah. Maybe it's not so bad to play pool with fellow companions. The 2 girls seemed to be very satisfied and were smiling the whole time after they finished changing. Haruka must have been worried about what I said earlier, but she didn't show it. Oh. As we all gathered to leave the private pool, the next person who seemed to have a reservation showed up. So Ike is next? Oh. Yeah, that's right. It's the only time I can get an appointment. You're not alone, are you? Sadu and the others? Akito looked curiously at Ike's back, but there was no one in sight. Oh no, let's see. Ike chokes on his words and is restless, but he catches something out of the corner of his eye. Sorry to keep you waiting. How unusual, combination of Shinahara and Ike, hanging out. What about the other men? Akito and Casey didn't think anything suspicious and asked such a thing in a matter-of-fact manner. Of course, Haruka and Eri seemed to have guessed right away and pushed the boys back, though they were surprised. Here, don't worry about that, we'll go on our own. What's with you all of a sudden? Come on, Satsuki, let's go. Yeah. Taking Shinahara's hand as she ran away, the two of them took the reception desk of the private pool. The time was fixed, so they wouldn't have time to sell oil at this place. Satsuki? Akito finally notices something strange about the two when he calls her by her given name and sees them disappear into their respective changing rooms, hand in hand in a friendly manner. Those guys. Yeah, when did that happen? What the hell does that mean? Casey still didn't understand, but Haruka immediately gave him a straightforward explanation. You mean they've started dating, right? What are you talking about? Ike and Shinahara are water and oil, why would they be going out? He denied with a straight face that there was no way two people who disliked each other would be dating. Yukemu is smart, but she's stupid. They might have hated each other at first, but I think they've been getting closer little by little. Lately, they've been kind of conscious of each other, you know. Eri nodded her head as if she understood, probably because girls are good at this kind of romantic stuff. Well, yeah. But I wasn't expecting it, though I was surprised that it seemed like they really started dating. So, is that right? Ike and Shinahara? No, I still don't understand. Casey, having grasped the situation, looked aghast and searched for the backs of the two people he could